You know that feeling when you keep seeing 1111 everywhere and you think, am I going crazy or is something trying to tell me something? Let me tell you about my friend Sarah. 3 months ago, she thought she was losing her mind. Every single night, she'd wake up at exactly 3:33 a.m. Not 3:32, not 3:34, exactly 3:33. Then the number sequences started showing up everywhere. Her coffee order, $3.33. License plate in front of her, 333. Even her work badge number ended in 33. But here's the kicker. She kept having the same dream. She's in this beautiful art studio, painting these incredible landscapes, feeling more alive than she'd felt in years. She'd wake up and her hands would literally tingle like she'd actually been holding a paintbrush. Sarah thought she was stressed. I told her something completely different. If you've ever experienced weird coincidences, repetitive numbers, or dreams that feel more real than reality, type yes in the comments, because I guarantee your higher self has been trying to reach you too. And if you want to finally understand what these mysterious signs actually mean, hit that subscribe button because we're about to decode the language your soul has been speaking to you. Look, I get it. Talking about your higher self can sound a bit woo-woo. But stick with me here. What if I told you that every single culture throughout history, from ancient Egypt to modern quantum physics, has recognized that we're more than just this thinking, worrying mind? That deeper part of you is not some mystical fantasy. It's the part that knew your ex was wrong for you before your brain caught up. It's what made you take that random route home that led to meeting your best friend. It's the voice that whispers yes or no before you even know why. The problem is, most of us have been taught to ignore this inner guidance. But what happens when it starts getting louder? Sign 1. When your gut becomes your GPS. The first sign? Those gut feelings start hitting different. I'm talking about walking into a room and immediately knowing something's off, even though everyone's smiling. Getting a random urge to call someone only to find out they desperately needed to talk. Or feeling physically sick about taking a job that looks perfect on paper. Sarah told me she started getting these intense no feelings about her promotion. Not logical concerns, just this heavy pit in your stomach feeling every time she thought about it. Here's what's wild. The more you trust these feelings, the stronger they become. It's like your higher self is saying, oh, she's actually listening now? Let me turn up the volume. Now, people always ask me, how can I recognize these subtle signs? The answer is simple. Your body never lies. Your mind can rationalize anything, but your gut reaction happens before your brain can interfere. Quick question. Have you ever had a gut feeling so strong it literally changed your day? Drop a comment and tell me about it. I read every single one. Your body becomes like a tuning fork for what's aligned with your true path. That flutter in your chest when you meet someone special, that's not anxiety, that's recognition. The key is learning to distinguish between fear-based reactions and genuine intuitive guidance. Fear feels constricting. Intuition feels expansive, even when it's warning you about something. Sign 2. Your dreams become Netflix series. Okay, this one's huge. Your dreams stop being random nonsense and start feeling like messages. Remember Sarah's art studio dreams? They weren't just vivid. They were consistent. Same studio, same feeling of pure joy, same sense of, this is who I really am. But here's what really blew my mind. She told me these dreams felt more real than her actual job. She'd wake up disappointed to be back in her corporate life. Your higher self loves using dreams because your logical mind finally shuts up. It's like having a direct hotline to your soul's truth. People often ask about the role vivid dreams play in connecting with your higher self. Here's the thing. Dreams operate in the language of symbols and emotions, not logic. Your higher self can show you possibilities warnings, and guidance without your ego getting in the way. You might dream about deceased loved ones giving you specific advice, or find yourself in places you've never been but somehow recognize. Sometimes you'll solve problems in your dreams that you've been stuck on for months. I had a subscriber tell me she dreamed about writing a book for 3 months straight. She kept ignoring it until the dreams became so vivid she could remember entire paragraphs. She finally started writing, and that book changed her life. Pro tip: keep a dream journal by your bed. Even if you don't remember the full dream, write down the feeling you woke up with. Patterns will emerge. What dreams have been trying to get your attention? I'm genuinely curious. Sign 3, the universe starts stalking you. This is where it gets fun and slightly creepy. The universe starts dropping hints like it's trying to win you over. For Sarah, it wasn't just the 333s. The same song would play everywhere she went. People would randomly mention art in conversations. She'd walk past 3 art supply stores in one day in a city where she'd never noticed any before. It's like the universe becomes your personal matchmaker, trying to set you up with your destiny. You know what I'm talking about, right? You think about someone and they text you 5 minutes later. You need a specific piece of information and you randomly overhear someone talking about it. You're struggling with a decision and the perfect book falls off the shelf at the bookstore. This happened to one of my viewers. She kept seeing butterflies everywhere after her mom passed away. On billows, license plates, even strangers' t-shirts. Turns out her mom used to collect butterfly pins. The universe was sending love notes. Here's the secret. These aren't coincidences. They're confirmations. Your higher self is basically saying, you're on the right track. Keep going. Now, people always ask how repeated thoughts or messages indicate guidance. The difference is this. Random thoughts come and go. Guidance repeats itself until you pay attention. If you keep seeing, hearing, or thinking about the same thing from multiple sources, your higher self is probably trying to get through to you. What patterns have you been noticing in your life lately? I bet there are more than you realize. Sign 4, you become an emotional sponge. Suddenly you're feeling everything, and I mean everything. Sarah started crying at dog food commercials. She'd walk into her office and immediately know who'd had a fight, who was stressed, who was excited about something. It was like everyone's emotions were broadcasting directly into her chest. Plot twist. This isn't a burden, it's an upgrade. Your higher self is expanding your awareness because it's preparing you for something bigger. Maybe you're meant to help people. Maybe you're developing intuitive abilities. Maybe you're just becoming more authentically human. But I won't lie, it can be overwhelming at first. Crowded places might feel exhausting. The news might become too intense to watch. You might need more alone time than usual. One of my subscribers said it perfectly. I used to think I was broken because I felt too much. Now I realize I was just waking up. This is where practicing self-care becomes crucial for hearing your higher self better. When you're emotionally overwhelmed, it's like trying to tune into a radio station through static. Self-care clears the signal. If you've been feeling like an emotional antenna lately, you're not alone. How has your sensitivity changed? Let me know in the comments. The key is learning to distinguish between your emotions and everyone else's. It's a skill, and it gets easier with practice. Sign 5, light bulb moments on steroids. You're washing dishes and bam, you suddenly understand exactly why your relationship ended. You're stuck in traffic and boom, you know exactly what your next career move should be. These aren't gradual realizations. They're like someone just downloaded new software into your brain. Sarah's big moment came during her lunch break. She was eating a sad desk salad when it hit her. Her entire corporate life was a detour, not the destination. She saw it so clearly, how she'd been living someone else's version of success. These insights feel different from regular thoughts. They come with this sense of absolute knowing. like you're remembering something you temporarily forgot. And here's the thing, they're usually about stuff your logical mind has been wrestling with for months. Your higher self just cuts through all the mental noise and drops the truth bomb. I had a viewer tell me she suddenly understood she needed to move across the country while brushing her teeth. No logical reason, just complete certainty. She did it, and it led to meeting her husband and finding her dream job. When these moments hit, pay attention. Your higher self doesn't waste time on casual suggestions. This is actually your higher self's way of communicating through what I call download moments. Sudden clarity that bypasses your analytical mind completely. Sign 6, success starts feeling hollow. Here's a tough one. You might have everything you thought you wanted, but it feels empty. Sarah had the corner office, the 6-figure salary, the respect of her colleagues. On paper, she was crushing it, but every morning felt like putting on a costume for a play she never auditioned for. This isn't depression. This isn't being ungrateful. This is your soul outgrowing a life that's too small for who you're becoming. You might find yourself thinking, is this it? Is this all there is? Not because your life is bad, but because it doesn't match who you are inside. Your higher self creates this sacred dissatisfaction to motivate growth. It's like your soul is saying, we've outgrown this container. Time for an upgrade. I see this all the time with successful people who feel guilty about being unfulfilled. They think they should be grateful, and they are. But they also know there's something more authentic waiting for them. Here's why maintaining positivity is important for strengthening your connection. When you're constantly negative or resistant to change, you create static that blocks your higher self's guidance. Positivity doesn't mean ignoring problems. It means staying open to solutions. If you're feeling this way, drop a comment. What area of your life feels most misaligned? Sometimes just naming it helps. The beautiful thing is, this dissatisfaction is actually your higher self loving you enough to not let you settle for less than your true potential. Sign 7. Netflix loses to solitude. You start craving alone time, not because you're antisocial, but because you need space to process what's happening inside you. Sarah started turning down happy hours, not because she didn't love her friends, but because she needed quiet. She'd take long walks, start journaling, just sit in her apartment and think. This isn't isolation. This is incubation. Your higher self is calling you inward to establish a stronger connection with your authentic self. You might find that social situations that used to energize you now feel draining. Small talk becomes almost impossible. You'd rather spend Friday night journaling than going to another networking event. And that's okay. Actually, it's necessary. Your higher self needs quiet space to communicate with you. Think of it as making room for an important conversation. This connects directly to self-care, helping you hear your higher self better. When you honor your need for solitude, you're creating sacred space for inner guidance to emerge. It's like clearing the clutter so you can hear the whisper. The people who understand your journey will support this need for inner space. The people who don't, well, that might tell you something important too. Are you going through a phase where you're craving more solitude? It's more common than you think. Share your experience below. Remember, solitude isn't loneliness. It's communion with your deepest self. Sign 8. Your hands get itchy. Suddenly you need to create something. And I mean need, like a physical urge you can't ignore. Remember Sarah's dreams? Within a month, she bought her first set of paints in 20 years. She had no plan, no training, just this overwhelming urge to put brush to canvas. Creativity is your soul's native language. When your higher self has something important to say, it often chooses art, music, writing, or movement as the messenger. You might feel compelled to write poetry for the first time since high school, or learn guitar, or start a blog, or dance in your living room like nobody's watching, which they're not, so go for it. Here's what's beautiful. These creative urges often feel urgent, like something important needs to be born through you. That's because it does. One of my viewers told me she suddenly needed to make jewelry after never being crafty in her life. She ignored it for months until the urge became so strong she couldn't concentrate on anything else. Now she has a successful Etsy shop and says creating jewelry feels like prayer. Don't overthink it. Don't worry about being good at it. Your higher self isn't concerned with your artistic resume. It's concerned with your soul's expression. What creative urge have you been ignoring? Seriously, what's been calling to you? This creative impulse is actually your higher self's way of helping you process and integrate the spiritual awakening you're experiencing. Sign 9. The universe plays defense. Sometimes your higher self throws up roadblocks, not to punish you, but to protect you from the wrong path. Sarah got passed over for that promotion 3 times. Each rejection felt like a personal failure, but looking back, she realized her higher self was basically saying, "Trust me, that's not your lane." What looks like failure might actually be divine redirection. You lose a job that leads to finding your calling. A relationship ends, creating space for self-discovery. A health scare forces you to reevaluate your priorities. The key is asking, what is this trying to teach me? Instead of, why is this happening to me? I had a viewer who got rejected from her dream graduate program 5 times. She was devastated. Then she started a YouTube channel while waiting for the next application cycle. That channel took off, led to a book deal, and now she's a full-time creator making more money and impact than she ever would have in that program. Think about a time when something that seemed like a disaster actually redirected you towards something better. We've all got these stories. Your higher self sees the bigger picture. Sometimes it has to close one door to show you there's a better one waiting. This is why maintaining positivity during setbacks is crucial. It helps you stay open to the redirection instead of getting stuck in resistance. Sign 10. Life becomes a mirror. This is the most sophisticated sign. You start noticing that everything around you is reflecting something back about yourself. Sarah realized her micromanaging boss was mirroring her own inner critic. Her coworkers' complaints about meaningless work echoed her own suppressed dissatisfaction. Even those art supplies showing up everywhere. That was the universe reflecting her soul's creative hunger. Your higher self uses everything, people, situations, random encounters, as a feedback system to show you what needs attention. That person who annoys you, they're probably showing you something unhealed in yourself. That compliment a stranger gave you, that's your higher self saying, "This is how I see you." The external world becomes like a personalized therapy session designed specifically for your growth. It's wild when you start seeing this pattern. What's been showing up repeatedly in your life lately? People, situations, themes? I bet there's a message there. This level of awareness means you're developing spiritual maturity. You're starting to see the interconnectedness of everything. When you recognize this mirroring, you gain the power to consciously work with these reflections instead of just reacting to them. Okay, let's bring this home. If you recognized yourself in multiple signs, congratulations. You're not going crazy. You're waking up. Your higher self isn't trying to get your attention just for fun. It's guiding you toward the most authentic version of your life. Sarah's update? She left corporate 6 months later and now runs an art therapy practice. Those 3:33 a.m. wake-ups, they became her sacred time for gratitude and intention setting. She thanks her higher self for being persistent enough to break through her logical resistance. Here's what I want you to remember. These signs aren't just interesting coincidences, they're invitations. Invitations to trust yourself more deeply, to live more authentically, to become who you're really meant to be. To answer the big question everyone's wondering, how can you recognize these subtle signs more clearly? Start by paying attention to your body's responses, keeping a dream journal, and creating quiet space for reflection. Your higher self is always communicating. You just need to tune in. Your higher self has infinite patience, but life is finite. The signs will keep coming, probably getting stronger until you finally listen. The question isn't whether your higher self is trying to reach you. It absolutely is. The question is, are you ready to answer the call? If this resonated with you, smash that subscribe button because we're going deeper into these mysteries together. And seriously, drop a comment about which sign hits you the hardest. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. Remember, you already have all the wisdom you need inside you. These signs are just your higher self reminding you to listen. Until next time, trust the process, trust the signs, and most importantly, trust yourself.